might just rap it if you knew.
Cut heavy-handed, understand it, this hit like a cannon. Buck 10 geeks down on camera, 50 shots under my cannon.
High-speed music. What is it? Either you love it or you hate it. And either you've heard about it or you haven't. But forget everything you've ever thought about drill being just a Chicago thing. Because just a few hundred miles down I-55 South is St. Louis. And this city is coming up with its own sound, its own slang, and its own stars. This isn't just drill. This is high-speed music. Welcome to the most slept-on drill scene in America. Let's dig into this. First off, we gotta figure out what the definition of St. Louis drill is. St. Louis drill, which is also nicknamed high-speed music, is a brutal mix of Midwest trap that tells specific stories of doing things like high-speed chases, sliding on ops, and serving geeks. And I'm gonna let your guys' mind figure out what that is. Unlike the dark, creeping energy of Chicago drill, St. Louis drill is fast, aggressive, and moves like a stolen charger on the highway. And mostly because half the time, it literally is. These rappers talk about running from the police, ducking warrants, and surviving real-life street politics. But some people say it isn't drill at all. Some say it's just St. Louis music, which in a sense that is true. St. Louis rap 100% has its own sound. But if you listen closely, you'll realize that this is the type of music that defines drill. The name high-speed music didn't just come from nowhere. It's rooted in real-life car chases, where artists rap about fleeing from the police, smoking dead ops, and selling fentanyl. And this shit ain't just fantasy. These motherfuckers really be outside. This is the most dangerous sound you've likely never heard of. Like I said, locals on Reddit don't even like calling it drill because it's too specific to St. Louis to be boxed in with what's coming out of Chicago, New York, or London. You can call it drill or you can call it high-speed music, but in my opinion, St. Louis is kind of running the high-speed scene right now. But don't sleep on Milwaukee either. I'll have a video about them coming out soon also. And let's talk some of the artists that started high-speed music. Let's start with NWMC MURDA. NWMC MURDA is known for repping 6 Deuce Crip and is from a neighborhood called the Ville on the north side of St. Louis. I'd say he's one of the city's most treacherous voices for sure. And when he raps, you believe everything he's saying. C MURDA originally blew up with a song called No Cap that featured another St. Louis artist named 30 Deep Grimeyy. And C MURDA survived multiple gunshot wounds a few years back when some ops tried to unalive him. And then right after dropped a song called Try Again. Then there's AMRD Huncho, a name you have to know if you're talking St. Louis. A rapper who survived 16 gunshot wounds in a drive-by when some ops tried to unalive him in 2021. And then he dropped the songs Want Me Dead and Still Alive right after getting out of the hospital, before even taking off the bandages. See, Huncho's low-key a legend in the city of St. Louis. He's a main pioneer when it comes to high-speed music, and he's been doing this for years. And there's multiple rumors in the city that D Huncho's turned down multiple record deals from multiple labels. Damn near every person in St. Louis can name you a D Huncho song. Then we got 3 Problems, Jizzlebucks, and Raleigh. Each of them representing a different part of the city, and each bringing their own twists to the sound. Whether it's melodic hooks or grimy verses talking about the trenches, they're all putting STL on the map. And the industry just keeps ignoring. But why? So why isn't St. Louis drill blowing up like it should? Truth is, lack of investment, street politics, and a city that's still rebuilding after generations of violence all play a part. These artists are forced to be their own publicists, managers, and protection. And most of the time needing a bulletproof vest just to stay alive. Because truth is, when you're living in the murder capital of America, it's hard to focus on only music. One Redditor said it best: St. Louis is a sleeping giant. The talent is there, the hunger is there also, but the exposure is still missing, and has been for a while. Now let's compare. Chicago drill laid out the blueprint with slower and more menacing flows, backed by raw aggression and violent visuals, and a wave that shaped the 2010s. Chief Keef, G Herbo, and King Von, they all defined a moment of drill that will never be forgotten. But when it comes to St. Louis drill, it's faster paced and makes you want to press the gas and go 120 and a 60. And the biggest difference, these artists aren't chasing clout. They're just trying to get out of St. Louis. But recently, there's been some beef started between Chicago rapper Bloodhound Q50 and St. Louis rapper CTS Lil Wick. After Bloodhound Q50 was hired and paid $60,000 to come do a show in St. Louis and never showed. And right after this, CTS Lil Wick took to Instagram to say fuck the Bloodhounds, which would result in multiple back and forths with Bloodhound Q50 saying fuck St. Louis and that St. Louis is soft. But that's not what we're here for. Let's get back on topic. So here's the question. Is St. Louis the next drill capital, or would they stay in Chicago's shadow forever? Right now, it feels like every time a St. Louis artist blows up, they disappear just as fast. The city needs a system, and it needs investment. And most of all, it needs exposure. And my opinion is that St. Louis drill is right on the edge of exposure, and soon could be the biggest genre in the country if the people who had talent could actually get out the streets and didn't have to use most of their energy watching their backs. Now it's time for your guys' opinion. Do you guys think high-speed music deserves its own spotlight? And comment your favorite St. Louis artist down below also. And if you've made it this far, make sure to show some love. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because every episode we're going to discuss the parts of the industry that never get exposed.